Gentlemen, it's time for Pine v. Alba!
It certainly is, and the shocking price we're all paying for our energy bills will be front and centre when the Prime Minister meets state and territory leaders in Hobart today. On the table, a proposal which could eventually see household bills fall by hundreds of dollars a year. Joining us now is Defence Industry Minister Christopher Pyne from Adelaide, and here in the studio, Shadow Infrastructure and Transport Minister Anthony Albanese. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa.
Christopher, I'm going to go to you first. Of course, everyone wants to see energy bills fall, but this proposal is going to take until 2030 to have an impact. People want action right now.
Well, Lisa, the Finkel report will be released today by the Chief Scientist, Alan Finkel. I think it's a seminal moment for Australia in terms of energy prices and stability, and certainly there'll be effects from the recommendations of the Finkel report felt long before 2030, in fact felt almost immediately, if the government and the opposition can work out a way forward where we end the 10 years of argument we've had about energy prices and energy stability and work forward with Alan Finkel's report in a way that is positive for both businesses and households, and most importantly the stability of the energy grid. Because in a country like Australia, we shouldn't have these issues around energy, but we've got to get the policy settings right, and I think this is a real opportunity to do so.
Well, let's hope you're right on the unity ticket, but Anthony, the average household is spending $2,200 a year, and there are warnings this morning that this year alone that could go up by $600. People just can't afford these increases.
Well, that's right, Lisa, but we were told by this government when they got rid of the price on carbon that it would bring prices down. What we've seen since then is a doubling of wholesale electricity prices, and Christopher saying that it did is an insult to all those people out there who know what has happened to their power bills. So we need to get a plan that gets some of the politics out of it. This government's been prepared to play politics with it. What we're saying is we're prepared to be cooperative, get certainty into the system. An emissions intensity scheme is what should happen. Ideally, that's what all the energy sector, that's what all the economists say should happen. If the government isn't prepared to do that, but comes up with a second best option, then we'll consider it in a constructive way.
Well, Lisa, since 2007, energy prices have gone up 140%, and almost all of that was under the Rudd-Gillard government. The only time it's come
Christopher,
down
the problem
when it dropped
here
after
is
the
that
carbon
people
tax
know
was
what's
abolished.
happened to their
so
bills.
That's the facts. Now,
People
don't interrupt
know
me.
what. Well, people know what's happened to their bills,
I'm telling the facts.
Christopher.
Since 2007, energy prices have gone up by 140%, and the only time that the energy prices dropped was when the carbon tax was abolished. Now, you can talk over me all you like, Anthony, but that's what happened.
But it didn't drop.
It was the biggest single drop in 10 years when the carbon tax was abolished.
Prices.
You can talk because you know I'm telling the truth.
Christopher, the problem is they're going to go up 30% this year alone, is the prediction. So
because of the mechanism put in place by the Labor Party for price fixing.
You've been in government for 4 years.
We are going to fix that with the Finkel report, and I'm very disappointed that Anthony immediately started attacking the government rather than realising that people are sick of that, and what they want is the parties to work out energy prices. So we can either embrace the Finkel report, we can reduce energy prices, or Labor can keep fighting about it when business doesn't want them to and households don't want them to.
All right, well, let's move on. And of course, the threat of terrorism is high on the agenda today. This morning, we have a new plan being put forward by Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews, who wants new federal maximum security prisons to hold Australia's most dangerous terrorists. Now, Christopher, are you going to support this?
Look, Daniel Andrews is trying to push off to the federal government what is the responsibility of his own government. The truth is that the awful incident that occurred in Melbourne earlier this week, which cost the life of an innocent man, was as a result of a person being out on parole under Victorian laws that should not have been. Now, the Premier and the Chief Ministers and the Prime Minister are meeting today at COAG, the Council of Australian Governments, and Malcolm Turnbull will talk very clearly with the state governments and chief ministers about the need to reform their parole laws and apply them in many of their cases. Daniel Andrews can try and push it off to the federal government, but that man who murdered the innocent man in Melbourne this week should not have been on parole, and neither should man Haron Monis in New South Wales in a similar incident a few years ago.
All right, we are going to have to move on because I want to get a final word just on this situation in Adelaide last night, Alba. We saw the Saudi Arabian soccer team refuse to honour the minute's silence for the 2 Australian women killed in those London terror attacks. Your response to that?
Well, that was a disgraceful lack of respect for not just the 2 Australians who were killed, one of whom was a young South Australian, but also all of those victims of that terror attack in London. There's no excuse here. This isn't about culture. This is about a lack of respect, and I thought it was disgraceful.
I think most Australians would agree with you. Christopher, unfortunately, we're out of time, but I figure between the two of you, you got about 50-50 today. Yeah?
Absolutely.
OK. Thanks very much. We'll see you next week. Over to you, Sue.
See you then.
Keeping it even. Well done. Thank you. Still to come this morning.